Iquest is a different way to teach. Iquest is a hands-on, collaborative, and experiential science curriculum that engages students by doing science. When students log into Iquest Interactive Digital Edition, they will see all the units your school has purchased. There are 12 units total in Iquest, 4 in each grade level. Spanish is also available. When a student chooses a unit, she will see a list of lessons on the left-hand side. Below the lessons are tabs for questions, notes, and principles. Here students can write questions that they would like to keep track of as they come up during the unit. They can also write down the principles that they've learned and keep track of annotations. We'll talk about that more later. Students can click on lessons to see activities that include embedded videos as well as simulations. Videos like this are used to engage students by getting them to ask questions about what they just saw. Units also include activities where students make predictions, create data tables, and analyze data and draw conclusions. They also include simulations. Students can also use built-in drawing tools to create models. Now that we've looked at the student experience, let's take a look at the view from the teacher side. When a teacher logs in, on the upper right side, there's an arrow which has a whole menu of support materials to help the teacher teach the unit. It begins with a unit overview, along with materials list. It also includes the unit calendar that shows how many periods each activity will last, as well as the scientific principles that will be taught in that unit, and the projected images that can be shared with the students up on the screen. In addition to unit overview material, IDE also includes lesson-specific information to support the teacher. For example, looking at Lesson 2, if I go to the Teacher Tools, now I see lesson preparation and lesson overview material as well as standards for that lesson. So starting at the top, we have background information. This can be particularly helpful for teachers that are working in a topic area that they haven't been teaching before. It's also just a great review. There's also lesson setup information. This typically includes a setup video, which can be viewed before the activities get set up in the classroom. These setup videos are very handy for teachers. There's also safety guidelines and differentiation information. Next is there's lesson overview material. This can, first thing is that teachers can actually print the lesson material. There's also the student answers that can be printed out. Next is the teaching the lesson section. So this gives an overview of how to teach this lesson and includes something really helpful, which are these suggested prompts to encourage classroom discourse. Then it talks about the activities, how to run those. It includes some video as well. There's also information on readings and what the students will be looking at there, as well as homework. Another important area is standards. Here you see the NGSS standards, including the performance expectations, the SEPs, the DCIs, cross-cutting concepts, as well as Common Core connections for ELA and mathematics. Another important benefit of IQWST IDE is that students can complete work in the system, and then teachers can review that work and provide comments back to the students to create a type of formative assessment for them. So, for example, I'll click on one of the activities and then scroll down. I've completed some of this activity already, and I'll go ahead and type in the rest of my answer. And that now gets saved to the system. Now when I sign back in as a teacher, I can go to that unit, and over on this side here, I'll click on Lesson 2. When I go here now, I can go to Student Work in the Teacher Tools area, and I can click on the class, and I can see all the student work that's occurred for Activity 2.1. I can export those answers as a CSV file so that it can be used in Excel for grading, or it could be even imported into another system. I'm going to click on this student though, so we can look at that work that we just did. If I scroll down here, I can see the answer where it says it has the least speed and mass. That's one we just wrote. And then as a teacher, I can write in comments. For example, I can say, great, please explain more. Or I can use comments that we've preloaded. And if you like to, you can actually save the comments that you've created and add them to the list. If I click Save here, that one's been added to the list. And so later, if I go to a different comment, I can click and use that one that we just wrote. So that saves the teacher a bunch of time. Then when students are logged into the system, they can actually see these comments from the teacher and either make changes as appropriate. So here's our comment. They can make changes, or the teacher could actually lock the lesson so that the student can see the comments, but it's considered final at that point. The next feature I'd like to introduce you to is the Annotations feature. This feature allows students to highlight text in different colors, as well as create comments, and then compile those comments into a list that they can use for study. So let's start by highlighting a phrase in the sentence here. In this case, we'll highlight types of energy. When I do that, and now I get the choice to choose a different color among 5 different colors of highlighters. So I'll highlight this in pink. The other thing I can do though is I can click on there and actually save a comment to go with that. So in this case, it's talking about types of energy. So I'll write my comment here and I can save that. What's nice about this is on the left-hand side under the Notes tab here at the bottom, I can click and see a growing list of annotations that I've made in the system. So here under Lesson 1, I can click on this note and it takes me to where that note exists. I can go to the note that we just did, or I can go to other notes as well. I can also mouse over the highlight to see the annotation. When teachers log in to look at student work, they can actually see the annotations that students have made. In addition to annotating the readings, students can have readings read aloud to them.
Science. Why do some things stop and others keep going? Reading 3.1, Gravitational and Kinetic Energy.
The next thing I'd like to show you is the assessments feature. In Iquest IDE, teachers can create assessments and then make those available to students in their classes and check their answers and provide feedback. So I'm going to click on My Assessments, and then I can create an assessment. I'll call this Assessment 2. Once I start creating the assessment, I can choose from two different item banks. We have the original Iquest assessment bank, which includes good summative assessment questions. A lot of them are multiple choice questions. We also have the STEM gauge assessment questions. This is a test bank of NGSS aligned questions, which includes a lot of constructed response type questions. So what I'll do is I'll pick one from each of those just by checking the box, and then I can preview what the assessment's going to look like, and then I can go ahead and save that. Once I've saved the assessment, I can start the assessment for my class. When the students log in, the lessons will all be grayed out so that they can't go to the lessons and read the material there and essentially have an open book test. I just skipped ahead and did some work as a student, so now I'm going to stop the assessment so we can look at the student answers. So I'll choose my class, choose the assessment. I can see this student has done some work, and here I see the student response as well as the correct answer. I can leave a comment here, tell them nice job, go to the next one here. With the STEM gauge assessment questions, I have actually a scoring guide in addition to the answer. So when I click on this, it gives me more information regarding the scoring rubric that's available to make sure that you are providing the right type of support for your students as they take these formative assessment questions. So that's a quick look at Iquest IDE. When combined with our hands-on curriculum, Iquest IDE serves as the first ever interactive digital science notebook, allowing students to learn via audio, video, simulations, and writing and drawing tools that are integral to science learning.